Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in comments. I read every message. Thank you. I never thought an office party could change how I viewed my marriage, my wife, and even myself. But that night, everything shifted. My wife Aubrey had always been someone who balanced gentleness with confidence, a soft log, a warm presence, and a kindness that never demanded attention. She worked at a mid-sized marketing firm and was loved by nearly everyone for her calm nature and her gift for easing tension with a simple smile. I trusted her completely, not because she asked for it, but because she lived in a way that made trust feel natural. That evening, she suggested I come with her to the annual office celebration. I wasn't much of a party person, but she wanted me there. Just stay for a little while, she said with that hopeful smile. I want you to meet my team. And honestly, I wanted to see her world, the people she spent most of her days with. The venue was a haunted event all glowing with warm lights and soft music. People gathered in small group logging over drink. Aubrey helped me and as she moved from circle to circle, introducing me to her co-workers. Liam, her friendly project partner, Ellie, her bubbly designer, and Mark, her acting supervisor for the past few months. Mark was the only one who gave me a strange feeling. He shook my hand too firmly, held his smile a little too long, and looked at my wife with an eyes that didn't sit right with me. But he brushed it off. He didn't want to be the insecure husband. Aubrey deserved better than that. For the first hour, everything felt normal, pleasant, even. People shared harmless office stories, and Aubrey stayed by my side, sometimes brushing my arm and checking if he was okay. But things shifted when Mark poured himself another drink. He started talking loudly, logging hard, and standing closer to everyone, especially Aubrey. He noticed it. Liam noticed it. Even Ellie looked uncomfortable. But Aubrey, sweet, peacekeeping, non-confrontational Aubrey, simply stepped away each time. She didn't want to cause a scene. She never wanted to embarrass anyone. At one point, she went to grab drink from a counter. He watched Mark follow her with a smirk that made my chest tighten. He moved closer, not from paranoia, but from instinct. He just wanted to be near her. And that is when it happened. Aubrey reached for two glass, unaware that Mark had stepped right behind her. Without hesitation, he placed his hand on her lower back and slid it just a little too far. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a quick brush. It was deliberate. He saw the subtle flinch in her body. He felt it in my bones. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate. Something protective and fierce rose inside me. By the time Aubrey turned to step away, he was already there. My hand closed around Mark's wrist before he could pull it back. His drunk smile vanished, replaced by shocked confusion. The room didn't go silent, but nearby conversation paused like people sensed something had shifted. He looked at Aubrey first, not him. She wasn't crying or panicking, but her eyes were wide in that overwhelmed way when she tried to stay calm, even when she shouldn't have to. That was all he needed. He released his wrist and stepped between them. My voice was controlled, steady, and sharp in its calm. Don't ever touch my wife again. Mark scoffed, trying to log it off. Relax, man. It was just no. He cut him off. Nothing about that was just anything. His look faltered. People began watching, some pretending not to, others staring openly. Liam stepped closer and placed a hand on Aubrey's shoulder, protective, as if silently saying, "We saw it, too." Aubrey whispered, "Daniel, please, let's just go." Her voice shook, not because of me, but from embarrassment. She hated conflict, crowd, and attention. And this moment had wrapped all three together. So, he made a choice. Not danger, not drama, not a scene. He gently took her hand, looked into her eyes, and said, "We are leaving." Before we walked out, he turned to Mark one last time, calm and deliberate. "You don't deserve to be in a room with people who respect boundary, and after tonight, you won't be." He swallowed hard. For the first time all evening, he looked sober. Truly sober. Aubrey squeezed my hand as we stepped into the cold night air. She stayed quiet for a long moment before her voice finally broke. "Daniel, he didn't want you to see that." My attached at the shame she carried that wasn't her. "Aubrey," he said softly, "you never have to hide when someone hurt you. Not from me." Her eyes filled as she looked away. And he realized this wasn't just about a party. It was about everything she hadn't said before. She stayed silent until we reached the car. He opened the passenger door, but she hesitated, gripping the seat like she was holding herself together. "Daniel," she whispered. "I'm sorry. Those words it more than anything inside the hall. He knelt so we were eye to eye. Aubrey, what are you apologizing for? Her breath shook. For making you deal with that. For bringing you tonight. For not saying anything when her voice broke. He froze. He gently held her hand. Freezing isn't a failure. It's human, and it doesn't make what he did your responsibility. She blinked fast, fighting tears. He didn't want to ruin the night. He didn't want to make it awkward at work. He didn't want to seem dramatic. He shook my head. You were assaulted, Aubrey. It wasn't a misunderstanding. And you don't owe anyone silence. Not me, not your coworkers, and definitely not him. She finally climbed into the car. He closed the door softly and walked to my side. When he got in, she stared through the windshield, replaying every moment. He started the engine, but didn't drive yet. Did anything like this happen before? He asked gently. Her jaw tightened. That answer was enough. Aubrey, she closed her eyes. He made comments, stood too close, tried to guide me by the westons when we walked through a doorway. She swallowed. He kept telling myself he was overacting. That it wasn't a worth causing trouble. My chest tightened with something dark and protective, but he kept my voice calm. And tonight, she whispered, he crossed a line he can't excuse. He pulled out of a parking lot slowly, giving her time to breathe, but he could feel her trembling. By the time we reached home, she looked exhausted, not from fear, but from the weight of keeping everything inside for so long. When we stepped into the living room, she dropped onto the cushion and said, You probably think he should feel a complaint, right? He sat beside her. No, I think you should do whatever makes you feel safe. Amir at her way. She looked at me closely. Really looked and he saw something change in her eyes. You didn't yell, she said. You didn't cause a scene. You just stepped in calmly. He didn't expect that. I'm not here to fight for pride, he said. I'm here to protect what matters. She leaned into me, resting her head on my shoulder. He always thought you'd be angry if he told you these things, she admitted. Not at him, at me, for letting it happen. He wrapped my arm around her. He would never blame you. Not for someone else's violation. She took a deep breath and for the first time since the party, her shoulder relaxed. Can we do something tomorrow? She asked. Can we talk to Asher together? I don't want to face it alone. Of course, he said. Whenever you're ready.